Meanwhile, this is what the Spanish newspapers had to say. Another knockout, Mundo Deportivo. Meanwhile, the nightmare continues for AS, 4-0, and now this, says Marca, that 3-1 win, of course. We saw at the Santiago Bernabeu. Let's welcome back Alex Jurgen's with us as well. Alex, every time you're on, I feel like I say to you, who's getting blamed for this?
Yeah, and I always say there's a lot of blame to go around, and it's being sort of handed out fairly evenly. But no, this time I think Carlo Ancelotti is under the spotlight, no question, because we know at Real Madrid's a crisis is never far away. There's always one around the corner. All it takes is one or two bad games or one or two bad performances. And when you've had two games this bad, performances and results this bad, as you saw in the headlines there, the 4-0 in the Clasico, and now losing 3-1 to Milan, we're pretty much in full-blown crisis mode. And people are pointing the finger at Ancelotti because it's down to the coach to find some answers, really, and to sort of give an indication that he has some ideas of how to turn this around and to give some signs of hope. After the Clasico, what you wanted in the Milan game was some signs of improvement, some signs that, okay, some changes are going to be made and things are going to get better and the team's going to play better. And there's a way forward here. And we didn't get that. In fact, it was more of the same or at times even worse. I mean, this was the Milan performance was very reminiscent of the Dortmund performance 2 weeks ago in the first half when they went 2-0 down. There just wasn't the comeback this time that we saw against Dortmund. And there are so many weaknesses in this Real Madrid team right now. You can pretty much go from front to back and pick them out. And in particular, in this Milan game, I mean, the midfield at times was just, there was no midfield. Like Milan were just passing through them almost at will. You've got the front two of Vinicius and Mbappe who aren't pressing, don't like working off the ball, and that leaves the team exposed as well. You've got the defence, which is weak, and the loss of Dani Carvajal has been crucial because Lucas Vázquez is decent, but he isn't really up to the job week in, week out. And Ancelotti, I mean, against Milan, he was just trying sort of desperately to try and do something. He made sort of 5 substitutions during the course of the second half. None of them really made an impact. The team didn't get any better. And in fact, quite a few of the team's best players were withdrawn as part of that process. We've seen frustration as well from some of the players. Jude Bellingham cut a very frustrated figure when he was substituted in this game. You feel a bit sorry for Bellingham because he's one of the players who's been sort of moved around all over the place to try and get the team going. You know, the fact of Mbappe coming in has meant Bellingham has sort of been shifted from where he played last season. Against Milan, he was back on the left, where against Barca and in previous weeks, he was on the right. He's trying to sort of do it all himself and covering a lot of ground and working hard, but it's just not working. Still hasn't scored a goal. In fact, Bellingham's last goal for Madrid was last season. It was back in May. It's not working. But to go back to your question, the blame right now, Ancelotti is the big one, and then some of the individual players as well, and someone like Mbappe, who, you know, the fans here, it's quite simple. They're looking at this thinking, well, hang on, we brought in this amazing player, and the team's got worse.
Yeah, Jurgen, it's interesting because Carlo Ancelotti had 9 days, because that postponed game against Valencia, to work on this, to try and figure out exactly what went wrong against Barcelona and what solutions he could serve up against Milan. But as Alex says, they were as bad in this game as they were against Barca.
Yeah, but Carlo Ancelotti, he knows that. He knows the reason why it didn't work out in the previous games. He knows the reasons why it didn't work out today. So the work that he has ahead of him now, the next couple of weeks, is chemistry. Is building chemistry between his superstars. The integration of Kylian Mbappes is huge. It's huge, and obviously fading players like Madrids, step by step gets out of the spotlight. So he has these superstars. Vinicius Junior, Rodrigo came back now. Mbappe is trying to find his spot. He's trying to find his way. Bellingham says, where is my role now? Should I play on the right, left? In my opinion, he's a perfect number 10 and coming into the box and doing that. So for Carlo Ancelotti, and he's done that before many times. It's about to figure out a way with these superstars, with these players, to give them chemistry, to give them a flow, which we see now at the moment. Obviously at Barcelona, it flows. They're in sync with each other. They run for each other. And the opposite with Real Madrid at the moment. Can they do it? Yes, they can, but it hasn't clicked yet. So this is a lot of psychological work that Carlo Ancelotti has to do, and he knows that. And it's also a lot of work for the players in a certain way. The players gotta kind of be a little bit critical with themselves too and say, okay, how can I kind of do my part in order to get out of this difficult situations right now? And I mean, obviously, in the media, they blame Kylian Mbappes not running enough, not doing enough, not doing enough defensive work. You know, even Mbappes should come behind the ball when you lose the ball and be part of the defensive shape like every team has. And therefore, it's going to be interesting to see how this continues there in Madrid. And obviously, as Alex says, you know, everything that happens at Madrid is the magnitude of every little thing is the magnitude of an earthquake. So it's going to be a little bit rocky the next couple of weeks in Madrid.
But you know, there's no doubt he's not running enough. There is no doubt. But
this is Mbappe, yeah.
Yeah, but he does that with France as well. He's made a career of other people doing his running and him just grabbing the headlines by doing something magical, which he's not doing at the moment. So, excuse me. The problem is he's got two huge egos up front as well. And the other issue is you have got the best goal-scoring midfielder in the planet last year in Jude Bellingham, playing, as the guys have said, on the right and on the left. So you're shuffling people around to try and, you know, plug up these holes of the midfield not working or the front two not, you know, working hard enough or not chasing back. And everybody's getting frustrated, you know, negating Bellingham's talents. Vinicius Junior is not working as well. And it just sort of filters through the whole side. It is not an easy fix.
Jurgen, both Craig and Ali pointed out yesterday, when it came to Mbappe's runs off the ball, they weren't what you want from your striker. He wasn't getting in the right position. And questioning, why are we seeing that? Why are we seeing him make those sort of errors?
Well, I thought, you know, compared now to the game against Barcelona, where he was always a step too early in offside, obviously, you know, because he was too eager to get through and to score a goal, and he was too anxious about his game. Now he started from more behind. He started to make sure that he's not going to get caught in offside too often, and actually had a very good chance to score in that game now. So this is a mental process that Kylian Mbappe is going through right now. And we cannot say just because he won a World Cup and is a superstar and he's one of the best strikers in the world that he's already perfect. You got to work on that every week, every day. And he does that too. So this is a process he's going to go through now with some issues. You know, it's not only, you're not always on the top. You're going to go through periods where for a couple of weeks things are not going your way. And you got to figure out, especially as a forward, to work yourself back into a positive thought process and to give yourself, build yourself the confidence to finish off things and to score the goals that you usually score. And so it's a very busy Kylian Mbappe, not only physically, obviously we expect more from him there, but also mentally. He's in a different place now. It's one of the biggest clubs in the world. And obviously he fits there and he's one of the best players, but that doesn't give you the guarantee that it will just, you know, work out perfectly from day one on. So this is a phase he has to go through. He has to fight through that. He has to question himself. He has to be honest to himself too. And if he goes through it and he's honest to himself, then he will figure out a way to get through. And in a couple of weeks from now, hopefully we're going to see a different Kylian Mbappe that scores goals and has a smile on his face.
You know, when we saw the goals that Barcelona scored?
Yes.
And then you watch what Real Madrid are doing in the penalty box. In terms of movement, Koundé, on 2 occasions when he got on that wide position and made 2 goals, he had 3 or 4 options in the penalty box. When you see Real Madrid, you see Vinny going down the line, there isn't any options.
But why not?
Well, because there's no movement. And it seems like everybody who's getting in the box is only interested in them getting on the end of a ball. As opposed to, you look at Barcelona, they are spread all around the goal. So Koundé has 3 and 4 options, as I said, because not only do Barcelona players want to score, but they also understand that if I take a little step this way and pull a defender, there's a hole for Pedri or somebody else to take a step forward.
So everyone's just looking out after number one?
Absolutely looks as though everybody's just, as soon as they get anywhere close to the penalty box, it's like, I don't care who's where, this is where I'm going, because I want to get on it. Absolutely 100%. No movement and just being selfish completely.
But if you get both Vinicius Junior and Kylian Mbappe, who like to drift into wider positions and hover around the edge of the box, which you saw Mbappe do a lot yesterday. When balls were coming in, he was stood on the 18-yard line. Then you need midfielders to be hitting that space. And that's what Jude Bellingham did brilliantly last year. He did it for Dortmund and he did it for Real Madrid. He hit that space where it was vacated by front men and he made those late runs, but he was doing it from the number 10 position. He can still do that now, but he's having to do it from either the right side or the left side. And then he's having to track back and help the fullbacks. So you're not getting that threat because there's nobody like Lewandowski who's in there sniffing about for anything that drops. You think, oh, thank you very much, I'll have this. Or he makes a nice little run off the shoulder of a defender. They're all pulling into positions where they're going to have to do something individually brilliant, like a drip, beat 2 or 3 players and score, or bend one in the top corner, because when they're slinging balls in the box, they might only have one person in there, or at times, like yesterday, nobody. At times yesterday, they had nobody in there, and it's just... You saw Bellingham coming off, right? We could talk about Mbappe all day, we did yesterday. But you saw Bellingham coming off, and he's feeling it.
Yeah.
No goals. No goals. This guy, I can't remember, but this time last year, he probably had, 8 or 10. Something like that. He was absolutely flying.
13.
But, sorry?
13 goals he had. 13 goals he had at this stage last season.
At this stage, well, that shows you the difference. And it's, okay, he might not be playing as well. And Real Madrid clearly are not playing as well as a team. But you're really... I think when Ancelotti sits down and thinks, how do you fix this? He's got to get back to basics. Where do they get the best out of Mbappe? Where do they get the best out of Vinicius? Do I need to introduce Rodrigo to help his mate get a partnership? How is that all going to work? Do I need to leave... Clearly not going to leave Mbappe out. So that can't happen. So he's going to have to figure it out. But the other thing he has to figure out is how I get... Because if you're not getting goals from front, guys, clearly you have to get it from the middle of the park.
Right.
You just have to. It doesn't stack up, one or the other. You have to be getting a threat from everywhere. And at the moment, they are not. They are not. And a lot of the threat has been negated. And the more it gets negated, the more frustrated the players get and the worse the problem gets. So he has to solve it very quickly. But I would suggest, not having Bellingham chasing back fullbacks. And yesterday it was Valverde on the right side chasing back fullbacks. Just because the front two are not working hard enough is maybe where he has to start with this problem.
Right.
In terms of, listen, this starts at the front with you two. And whether they want to listen or not, I don't know. I can't answer that. But as a team game, and this team are in a bit of a crisis at the moment, as a team game, this all starts at the front. You listen to all the coaches. Defending starts at the front. But for Real Madrid at the moment, it is not.
What happens? What happens when he drops? What happens if he drops Mbappe?
He won't.
Does the hand grenade get thrown in? Does it blow everything up? Does Mbappe... But
he's not going to drop him, Steve.
But we're sitting here talking, all of us, and we did it yesterday, and we're doing it again today, and the answer seems to be staring us straight in the face. The biggest problem here is Mbappe.
But remember, Mbappe was injured and still Real Madrid weren't that good.
Well, if we want to sit here and talk about how do we fix this and how does Ancelotti fix it, Craig's just told you that Bellingham, who scored all these goals, isn't getting in the penalty box to get on in. All he's doing is covering. Valverde isn't the guy who's going to be doing that either. If it's Modric wants to be a playmaker. He's not going to do it. So if the front guys ain't scoring goals because Mbappe wants to be playing on the left but can't, and then you've got Vinny playing on the left, and Vinny's taking penalties. So where's the goal? Where are the goals coming from? And where's the shape coming from? Because we're just sitting here going, well, Mbappe can't not play, but how do we fix the middle of the park? How does Rodrigo play then as well? How does Rodrigo come in and play? Because if I'm Rodrigo, I'm going, hold on a second. Did you watch me playing last season? Why am I not playing? I mean, and I'm with you. You could probably guarantee Mbappe's not getting thrown out. But I tell you what, every single thing we've said for the last 2 days, the problem looks like Mbappe.
Jurgen, how do you fix it? I suppose that's a simple question, and the answer maybe not as easy.
We definitely don't get the answer because we are not there. We are not in the locker room. We are not, with the players day in, day out. And we don't feel what they feel between, themselves. This is a group of 25, 30 high-end players. They're all national team players. They're all stars. And they got to figure out a balance within the team, a chemistry within the team that drives positively. So what Kylian Mbappes is going through is similar to what Lewandowski last year went through at Barcelona. He didn't get the balls he wanted. He was not involved the way he wanted to be. And so these first couple of months for Kylian Mbappes at Real Madrid are huge. It's a huge learning curve. And they have to figure out themselves ways to to get along, to support each other, to run after balls, to work also defensively. And this is all going through the brain. It's all a brain issue and psychological issue. And I'm not so worried. Carlo Ancelotti has seen that many times in the big teams that he coached throughout his career. But obviously it could also cost his job, at the end of the day. If they don't figure it out the next couple of weeks, and then comes along Christmas and Real is not where Real is supposed to be, then they will always, knock at the door of the manager. But this is for me the real fun for a manager. Actually, when things are not going well, how can I fix those things? Or how can I help to get it fixed? Sometimes it's only the players that can fix it. And when you take a player on board, no matter how big that name is, you never have the guarantee that player from day one on will deliver you right away, even if it's a superstar like Kylian Mbappes, because he also has to come to a new country, learn a new language, figure out a new locker room, be part of that hierarchy that is driven in on the male side of football in the locker room, and find your spot, find your place, make your friends. And this is a fascinating process. But that process is combined with a lot of critics if you don't score, if you don't make the goals that people expect from you, and if you don't have the points, obviously to go further in the Champions League and be on top of the Spanish league. So this is fascinating, but I'm pretty sure they figure something out.